You ever have that moment where your heart stops for just a second? Not because of fear, but because you suddenly realize how fragile everything is. That was me, 30 seconds after he said it. He wanted to use my son's money, my son's social security benefits to pay our bills. And in that instant, I realized that being a family isn't always about love and compromise. Sometimes, it's about standing your ground. Even before that conversation, life had never been simple. I'm 38, a single mother to my almost 16-year-old son. And for more than a decade, I had learned how to navigate the world as both caretaker and protector. My son's father passed away when he was 5, and since then, the Social Security benefits have been a steady, silent support. They weren't just money, they were a promise, a security net for my boy. A guarantee that he would never feel the financial instability that marked the early years of his life. I've always split the benefits evenly, half for his personal use, half saved for the future. To me, that was balance. My son needed to learn responsibility, to understand what it meant to have financial autonomy, even in small increments. Giving him control over some of it wasn't just about money, it was about trust, about helping him grow into someone capable of managing his life with dignity. But love, I'd learned, complicates everything. My boyfriend and I used that term loosely for the first few years. Then, more seriously, in the past 18 months, was 40, a father of 3. Only one of his children would be living with us full time. He and I had been on again, off again for years, a cycle of tension, reconciliation, and hope. Recently, things had been good, so good that he had proposed, and we were actively looking for a house together. It was exciting, terrifying, and utterly real. The house we found was perfect for a blended family, 3 bedrooms, a small yard, quiet neighborhood. The rental mortgage, if we could swing, it was $2,500 a month. He sat across from me one evening, sipping his coffee, and laid out the budget. "Okay," he said confidently. "Here's what I'm thinking. I'll pay $950, you'll pay $950, and we'll use $600 from your son's Social Security check. That leaves $500 for savings, which is great." My chest tightened. I could feel the familiar knot of anxiety and defensiveness form. I had anticipated discussing shared finances, yes, but never using money that belonged to my child to make our shared life easier. I don't think that's right, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. That money isn't mine to spend. It's his. He's 15, almost 16. He needs some control over it. He frowned, leaning back, crossing his arms. We're going to be a family. Families pool their resources. Why shouldn't his money help support the house? He lives here too, doesn't he? I swallowed. There it was, the exact moment where personal values clashed with the idea of family. My heart pounded. Was I selfish for wanting to protect that money? Or was he wrong for thinking that, because we were blending families, I should give up a portion of what was my son's security net? The air between us thickened. My mind raced not just with numbers, but with consequences. Teaching my son about responsibility wasn't theoretical. It was practical. Half of his check went into a personal account he could touch, manage, and spend as he chose. The other half grew in a savings account in his name, untouched and untouchable. That was the system I had built over years, carefully, with his best interests in mind. And if we do it this way, he continued, his tone, even but firm, we're essentially lowering our own expenses. You don't have to cover your full share, and we'll have more money left over each month, It's practical, practical. I almost laughed, but the humor was bitter. Was it really practical if it meant teaching my son that his money could be commandeered whenever an adult wanted it? I shook my head, trying to find the words that would convey both my anger and my rationale. It's not about practicality, I said finally, louder than I intended. It's about fairness. It's about teaching him that some things, like the money he earns or is entitled to, aren't up for negotiation just because someone wants it. I saw it then. The shift in his eyes, the slight narrowing, the tension coiling in his jaw. This wasn't just a disagreement about numbers. This was a fundamental clash of values. He believed family meant total sharing, merging everything into a communal pot. I believed family also meant respecting boundaries, even when it was inconvenient, especially when it involved a child's future. My son, sitting quietly on the couch nearby, didn't say a word. He was scrolling on his phone, earbuds in, pretending to ignore the conversation, but I knew he was listening. Teenagers are small spies, silent and observant, and I could feel the weight of my responsibility pressing down harder. I wasn't just negotiating finances with my fiancé. I was demonstrating to my child what it meant to stand firm for yourself, to advocate for what's right. Is it selfish? I asked the empty space, partly to myself, partly to him. Is it selfish to protect the financial future of my own child? The question hung between us. He didn't answer immediately. I didn't expect him to. The silence was charged, a tangible thing, pressing on my shoulders. I knew the conversation wouldn't end tonight. There would be more, longer discussions, negotiations, perhaps even arguments. But one thing was clear to me. I wasn't going to compromise my son's future. Not for convenience. Not for the illusion of perfect family unity. That night, as I tucked him into bed, he looked up at me with sleepy eyes. "Mum, are we going to be okay?" I held his hand, feeling the soft weight of his trust in my grasp. "We will," I said softly. "We just have to figure out the rules of our new family and make sure everyone's safe, including your money." As I turned off the light, I realized that this was only the beginning. Blending families wasn't about shared holidays or joint Netflix accounts. It was about boundaries, values, and, sometimes, standing alone to protect the ones you love. And somewhere deep down, I knew that how we handled this first clash about money would define the rest of our lives together. That night, the house seemed quiet, or, at least, quiet on the surface. But in my head, every dollar, every decision, every principle was screaming. How could something as simple as money stir up so much tension? And yet, there we were, standing on the edge of what it truly meant to be a family. The next morning, I tried to stay calm. But from the moment I woke up, worry was creeping in. I was making breakfast, letting my son pick what he wanted to eat, while he scrolled on his phone in the kitchen, focused but tense. Yesterday's budget debate hadn't been resolved, and I knew he wouldn't just drop it. "Can we talk about the budget again?" he asked, his voice light but firm. I took a deep breath, bracing myself. "Sure, let's go over it," I replied. We sat at the kitchen table with the numbers laid out. $2,500 for the house. $950 from him. $950 from me. And the part that was causing tension, $600 from my son's social security check. "I just don't get why this is a problem," he said. "We're not taking it for ourselves. It's for the household. He lives here, eats here, doesn't it make sense?" I squinted, trying not to let my voice get sharp. It's a problem because it's his money. It was given to him after his father died. It's not loose change. It's his security, his future. We're not talking about groceries. It's about taking part of what's meant solely for him. He put his hand on his forehead and sighed. I just feel like this would make things easier for all of us. We'd save a bit more. Isn't that better for him too? That made me pause. Better for him, I said, emphasizing each word. How is it better if we're teaching him that the money he's entitled to can be taken whenever adults find it convenient? He looked at me, his eyes tense. I could see the frustration building. He thought I was being selfish, that I didn't understand what family meant. I was frustrated too, but not about the money. I was frustrated because he didn't see that boundaries are crucial, especially for a child who lost his father early. My son was silent, but I knew he was listening. He might not fully grasp the situation, but the way his eyes were wide and his lips pressed together told me he was paying attention. I felt the pressure. How could I protect him and his money without escalating tension? Let's look at it another way, I said carefully. Imagine someone took part of your money or allowance, or money from a summer job without asking. How would that feel? He furrowed his brow, slightly startled. That's different. He's a kid, and we're trying to build a life together. Exactly, I said. He's a kid, and that's why his money needs to be protected. He doesn't have the power to negotiate with adults about his future. That's my job. That's what being a parent means. Silence. Just the tick-tock of the clock. I could feel the tension thick between us. I knew he was struggling with feeling rejected, and I was fighting to protect my son's rights. Finally, my son spoke up, voice quiet. Mom, it's okay. You're right. I looked at him, surprised but relieved. Really? I asked. He nodded. Yeah, I mean, it's my money. You're protecting it. That makes sense. My chest eased a little. Even though he didn't fully understand the complexity, he felt that I always put his best interests first. That was the first lesson. His money wasn't up for grabs. He remained silent, eyes thoughtful. I wasn't sure he completely agreed, but at least he recognized the boundary. And I knew this was only the first step. There would be more conversations, probably tougher ones, testing our patience and understanding. But that night, sitting next to my son while he played on his phone before bed, I felt a small sense of relief. He understood that I would protect him, and for now, that was enough to keep us standing strong. Family isn't just about living under the same roof. It's about boundaries, values, and sometimes standing alone to protect the ones you love. And I knew that how we handled this first clash over money would shape the way our blended family faced challenges in the future. There's a point in every relationship when ideals crash into reality and the tension becomes almost tangible. That night, I realized we had reached that point. It was late, the kind of late where the city outside is quiet, and even the hum of the refrigerator seems louder than usual. My son had gone to his room after dinner, but the atmosphere in the living room was anything but calm. I could feel it, the energy that rises when words are about to cut deeper than intended. He sat across from me, elbows on knees, hands clasped. Look, I don't want this to turn into a war, he said, his voice low, almost pleading. I just want us to be a family. You, me, the kids, we share everything. Isn't that what families do? I shook my head. Families do share, yes. But families also respect boundaries. And this, I gestured toward the spreadsheet on the table, this isn't about shared expenses. This is about taking money that belongs to my son. He leaned back, jaw tight. It's for all of us. He lives here, eats here. You're going to use part of your own money anyway, so why not just pool it? Because it's his money. Not mine, not yours. I practically shouted, the tension finally breaking through my carefully measured tone. It was given to him after his father passed away. You're trying to use it to make our life easier, and that's not okay. The silence that followed was sharp, almost physical. I could see it in his eyes, hurt, frustration, confusion. And then, as if sensing that this was bigger than money, bigger than practicality, he stood up abruptly. So what? You're going to make me the bad guy here. You think I don't care about him? His voice cracked, a mix of anger and vulnerability. I'm not saying that. I said quickly, but he wasn't listening. The frustration had bubbled over. I'm saying you can't just take it because you feel it's convenient. That's not love, that's control. The room felt smaller, tighter. My son, hearing the raised voices, appeared in the doorway, earbuds around his neck, eyes wide. Mum, Dad, what's happening? I felt my chest tighten. This wasn't just about money. Anymore, it was about the emotional safety of my child. Nothing's wrong, honey, I said softly, but my voice trembled. We're just adults trying to figure out how to manage the household. He didn't buy it. No, you're shouting, he said, stepping closer. Why are you both yelling about my money? It's mine. And there it was, his voice, small but powerful, cutting through the tension. Both of us paused, the reality hitting us. He wasn't a passive observer. He was alive in this moment, asserting himself, standing up for what belonged to him. I took a deep breath, kneeling down to his level. You're right, baby. It is yours. And I promise I'm not letting anyone take it. Not me, not him, not anyone. He looked at me, relief and anger mixed on his face. Then he turned to him, my fiancé, and said, You can't take my money. It's mine. You don't get to decide. The weight of that statement hung in the air. I could see him, my fiancé, caught between logic, love, and shame. His face softened, but there was still tension. I just wanted to help, he said quietly. I know you did, I said, placing a hand on his arm. But helping doesn't mean taking. We help each other by respecting boundaries, by protecting each other. That includes protecting my son. He sank into the couch, silent. For a moment, the room felt heavy with unsaid words, the kind that linger and shape relationships quietly but permanently. I looked at my son, feeling the full weight of my responsibilities. It wasn't just about the money. It was about teaching him that his voice mattered, that his rights were real, and that standing up for yourself was not only acceptable, it was necessary. After a few minutes of tense silence, he finally spoke, softer this time. I want to feel safe. I don't want anyone to take my money. That's all. I hugged him tightly. You are safe, baby. And I'll make sure it stays that way. And then I turned to him, my fiancé. This is the first real test of our blended family, I said. It's not about money. It's about respect, communication, and understanding. If we can't handle this, how can we handle the bigger challenges? He didn't answer immediately. I could see the struggle in his eyes, the internal battle between wanting to control, wanting to provide, and realizing that love isn't about taking. It's about compromise, empathy, and sometimes letting go. The night ended without a resolution of the numbers, but with a shift in understanding. The tension had cracked open the reality. We were not a traditional family, and building one would require constant negotiation of values, patience, and emotional intelligence. Before I went to bed, I peeked into my son's room. He was lying on his bed, headphones on, a small smile forming as if the day's battle had given him confidence. "Mum," he whispered, double quotes, "Yes, baby, thanks." For not letting him take it, I kissed his forehead. Always. That's my job. And as I lay there, exhausted and emotionally drained, I realized that this night, this argument, this small victory was a turning point. It wasn't just about money. It was about setting the tone for our future as a blended family, one where boundaries mattered, where respect came first, and where love didn't mean sacrificing what was right for someone else. After the argument, the house felt different. Not in the obvious way like silence after a storm, but in a way that made you realize things would never be the same. Something had shifted irreversibly. The next morning, I woke up with a heaviness I couldn't shake. The fight from the night before lingered in my mind, like a song stuck on repeat. I went downstairs to make coffee, trying to calm my racing thoughts. He was on the sofa, silent, staring into space. No words, just the kind of quiet that speaks louder than any conversation. You can feel the weight of regret, frustration, and reflection. "Morning," I said softly. He just nodded, eyes still fixed on the phone screen, not really focusing, just hiding somewhere in his own world. I knew that feeling well when you need space to process disappointment, anger, and maybe a little guilt. My son came downstairs, eyes a little tired but alert. "Morning, Mum," he said, glancing at him, then back at me. I smiled, putting a hand on his shoulder, silently telling him, "You're safe. Everything's okay." But the tension in the house hadn't left. We weren't arguing, but there was a palpable distance, invisible but definite. We needed to address it, but not with anger this time. I suggested a cold conversation, a chance to talk through everything clearly, without emotions taking over. "We need to talk about living together and managing money," I began, calm but firm, not to fight, just to set clear rules. He looked up, surprised. "Rules?" "Yes, who pays what, who manages what, and most importantly, my son's money is his. No one touches it." I said it clearly, without hesitation. He exhaled, shrugged, a little tired. "Okay, I get it. I still want to contribute, but I guess I need to learn to respect boundaries." My son, listening nearby, piped up, "Mum, are you sure? He won't take my money anymore, right?" I knelt down, holding his hands. "Do you trust me, baby?" "I promise I will protect you, always." He nodded, a small spark of relief in his eyes. I realized then that his trust was the foundation for this family. If that trust faltered, everything would collapse. But the challenges weren't over. In the following week, I noticed subtle aftershocks from the argument. He started pulling back a bit from decisions, like trying to avoid conflict, but it frustrated me. I wanted him involved, but not by imposing. He wanted me to understand his desire to contribute, but he didn't know how to do it without overstepping. One evening, while the three of us were watching TV, he suddenly asked, "Mum, can we review the budget again?" I just want to make sure I understand how it works without causing more tension. I felt a wave of relief. This wasn't an argument. It was a step toward understanding. Sure, let's sit down and sort it out. But this time, we stay calm, okay? He nodded. Okay. We went through everything, line by line. Who pays what? Who keeps what, and, most importantly, my son's money remained untouched. I made notes. $550 for spending, $550 saved for his future. No one touches this for household costs. He scanned the notes and finally smiled. Okay, now it makes sense. I think I can do this. Over the next few days, subtle emotions emerged from each of us. My son, secure but cautious, observing how we handled things. Him, still wanting to help, but sometimes feeling limited to me. Balancing protecting my son with building a relationship with him. One evening at dinner, my son said unexpectedly, "Mum, I let him pay his share today." Felt weird, but good. I smiled. You're learning to share, but also protect yourself. That's important. He looked at my son, his expression softening. He's a smart kid. These small moments began to build trust. We realized that building a blended family isn't just about money or sharing expenses. It's about understanding, patience, and creating fairness. Step by step, I also realized something. Every conflict, every tough conversation is an opportunity. An opportunity for my son to learn to stand up for himself. For him to learn to love without controlling. And for me to balance protecting my son while nurturing a new relationship. That weekend, as we all cleaned and organized the house together, the atmosphere was lighter. He laughed when my son dropped a plate. "Okay, that's your fault this time. Not Mom's," he said. I looked at them, warmth filling me. Family isn't perfect. We will face more arguments, more challenges. But at least now, we've learned how to confront, understand, and protect each other the right way. That night, when my son slept soundly, I sat by the window with my coffee, thinking about the future. I knew the peaks and clashes weren't over. There would be more challenges, more debates, more hard days. But I also knew we were moving in the right direction, building a blended family based on respect, boundaries, and genuine love. Building a blended family isn't about perfection, it's about progress. And sometimes progress comes in tiny, almost invisible steps. That morning, sunlight poured gently through the windows. The air felt lighter, as if everyone had just come through a storm and was finally taking a deep breath. My son sat at the table, eating oatmeal, his eyes bright and relaxed compared to the past few days. He walked in, a gentle smile on his face. "Hey, want to try making some coffee this morning?" he asked softly, without any tension in his voice. I looked at him, feeling warmth spreading in my chest. Last night, we had an honest conversation, set some new rules for the budget, and most importantly, we all felt respect for each other. Small but significant steps forward. My son glanced at him, curious. "Are you sure you won't touch my money today?" he asked, half joking but still cautious. He laughed and nodded. "Of course not. Your money is yours. And Mum will protect it, right?" I smiled and leaned down to him. "Absolutely. I will always protect you," he smiled back, and I could see the relief on his face, the sense of safety every parent longs to see. That day, we started cleaning and organizing the house together. Small tasks, from wiping down tables to arranging books and organizing my son's room, became opportunities to work together without conflict. He took the initiative to help my son with little chores, from stacking books to tidying his desk. My son hesitated at first, then laughed and said, "You know, it's actually kind of fun having him help today." Watching them work side by side, I felt hope rising. Family isn't about perfection, it's about connection, even in small, seemingly ordinary moments. That evening, as we all sat watching TV, I noticed the subtle shift in emotions. He no longer kept his distance. Occasionally, he would hold my hand, exchanging looks full of trust. My son, still observing, started participating in little jokes and gradually accepted him as part of his world. "You know," he said, enthusiasm in his voice, "I think we should set some fun family rules for our new family. Like making pizza together on Saturdays, or board games after dinner." I laughed and looked at my son. "Sounds good. You want to try it?" He nodded, eyes lighting up. "Yeah, let's do it." That was the first moment my son truly started imagining a blended family not as a source of fear, but as a chance to experience, learn, and make new memories. Yet, I knew challenges weren't over. Emotions were still complicated. He sometimes felt limited, wanting to contribute more but afraid of overstepping. I occasionally felt tension too, wanting to protect my son while creating space for him to bond with my fiancé that night. After my son was asleep, we sat down to talk honestly. "Tonight seemed better," I said. He looked at me, eyes soft. "Yeah, but I know there's still a lot to figure out. I want to do it right, but I don't always know when it's enough." I took his hand gently. "No one is perfect. We just need to move forward, step by step, together. What matters most is that all three of us feel safe and respected." He nodded, seeming reassured. "Right. I want to be part of this family, but in a way that doesn't hurt anyone." In that moment, I realized something important. Building a blended family isn't about control or money. It's about emotions, trust, and connection. The first steps, even small ones, were laying the foundation for a future that could work. Over the next week, we started little family rituals, shared dinners, dividing household tasks, weekend walks. My son began to participate willingly, no longer hesitant, and he learned that my fiancé could love him without trying to control him. I learned how to listen and give space for them to bond. One evening, as we watched a comedy together, I looked at them laughing with each other and felt an indescribable happiness. This is the first time I've truly felt like a family again. I thought, I knew there would still be challenges ahead, disagreements, lifestyle differences, and inevitable stressful moments. But now we had learned a valuable lesson. A blended family doesn't have to be perfect, but it can exist and grow if everyone commits, understands, and respects each other. And I smiled, knowing that these small steps today would create bigger memories tomorrow, and that my son was learning the value of boundaries, respect, and genuine love, the lessons I hoped he would carry with him forever. Progress isn't flashy. It doesn't always come with fireworks or grand declarations. Sometimes it comes quietly in shared laughter, in mutual respect, in moments of understanding. And today was the first of many. Just when you think progress has been made, life has a way of testing it subtly, unexpectedly, and sometimes painfully. A few weeks after things seemed to be settling, a new challenge arrived. My fiancé's eldest son, a 12-year-old boy, came to visit for the weekend. What I had assumed would be a fun, casual visit quickly became the first real test of boundaries, emotions, and how we functioned as a blended family. The moment he stepped into the house, the atmosphere shifted. My son, who had felt secure being the center of attention, suddenly seemed wary of sharing space and attention. He looked at me, eyes cautious and hesitant. "Mum, how long is he staying?" he asked quietly, worried I might scold him for asking. I knelt down, taking his hands. "Just the weekend. But you'll be okay. I'm right here with you." My fiancé appeared, smiling warmly at both boys. "Everything's going to be fine. We'll play games, watch movies, and everyone will have their own space." But during dinner, tension started to bubble up. My son wasn't completely comfortable. Whenever his new stepbrother spoke, he would frown or stay silent. My fiancé tried to mediate, but his voice occasionally became firmer than intended, adding weight to the tension. I could feel the complexity of emotions. My son, afraid of losing his central role, worried about attention and rights. My fiancée wanting to connect both boys but unsure how. Sometimes coming across as controlling. Me, wanting to protect my son while helping him bond with his new brother. After dinner, I decided to take everyone for a walk around the neighborhood. The open space helped ease the tension. I placed a hand on my son's shoulder. "You can say anything you're feeling, okay? You don't have to hide it." He looked at me, inhaled deeply, and said, "Mum, I don't want to share my space with him. I feel like I'm losing control." I nodded, validating his feelings. "You have the right to feel that way. No one can take that from you. We'll find a way for you to feel safe while still welcoming him." My fiancé sighed. I just want everyone to get along. I don't want anyone hurt." I turned to him. "You have to understand that love isn't always easy. It requires patience, empathy, and sometimes stepping back so the kids feel secure." We walked in silence. For a few minutes, not the tense silence of conflict, but the kind that allows thought, breath, and emotions to settle. Back at home, I suggested a mini family meeting where everyone could speak their feelings without judgment. He agreed, my son reluctantly agreed, and the 12-year-old was encouraged to share his thoughts too. He looked at us and said, "It's kind of weird being here, but I want to try. I just don't know where to start." My son nodded, inhaling deeply. "I'm a little worried too, but I'll try." We established a few simple rules. Personal space must be respected. My son's money remains private. Everyone can express feelings without interruption or judgment immediately. The atmosphere lightened. My son smiled, my fiancé softened his tone, and the new stepbrother felt welcomed without pressure. Over the next few days, the biggest challenge was small conflicts, bathroom schedules, TV channel choices, or who got the game console first. Though minor, these moments became lessons in sharing, respect, and negotiation. One afternoon, while the three boys played a board game, my son became frustrated losing. "Not fair," he shouted. My fiancé gently said, "It's okay. Losing is part of the game. We play for fun, not just to win." My son looked at him, voice softer. "Okay, I'll try to control my feelings." I watched them, realizing that each small moment was an opportunity to learn to compromise, to remain calm, and to consider others' feelings. That night, after my son went to bed, I and my fiancé sat down. "This is harder than I expected," he admitted. I nodded. Yes, but this is the reality of a blended family. No one said it would be easy, but step by step, we can find balance. He smiled tiredly, but with a gentle warmth. I know, I'll try to be more patient. I want to do this right, and that was the big lesson. Building a blended family isn't a perfect project. It's a journey where everyone learns to respect, listen, and constantly adjust their emotions. By the end of the weekend, as the boys packed up to return to their own home, the atmosphere had changed. My son began to understand that sharing space or attention didn't mean losing his place. He was starting to see his stepbrother as part of life, not a rival. I watched them, feeling warmth in my chest. The tense and challenging moments were actually opportunities to build trust and connection. And I knew that every slow step, every challenge overcome, was shaping a real blended family, not perfect, but resilient. Family isn't built in a day. It's built in tiny, messy, challenging moments, moments where patience, understanding, and love are tested, and sometimes tested again. And this weekend was one of those moments. Sometimes, the smallest moments of connection become the foundation for lasting bonds. The week following the visit from his 12-year-old son, the atmosphere at home began to shift subtly, but noticeably. The kids were learning to share space, attention, and gradually, all three of us realized that small steps were laying the foundation for a real blended family. One afternoon, while I was preparing dinner, I heard laughter coming from the living room. I walked in and saw all three boys playing a new board game. My son, who used to always insist on winning, quietly observed and occasionally encouraged his new stepbrother. He looked at me, a smile on his face, watching them play. It's not tense like before. I nodded. Right. Your son is learning to adapt, and his brother is feeling welcomed too. Moments like this were positive signals. We began to notice that connection didn't only come from big conversations, came from daily habits, small acts and shared routines, sharing meals, cleaning together, joking around while doing chores. One evening, as we watched a movie together with popcorn, I noticed my son resting his hand on his new stepbrother's shoulder, smiling. He responded in kind, his eyes reflecting gratitude. I knew this was the first time both boys truly felt part of the same family. It wasn't always easy. One afternoon, while studying together, a heated argument broke out over whose turn it was first. My son shouted in frustration, "It's not fair." My fiancé gently intervened, "Let's take turns. Everyone gets their own time." My son sighed, but accepted it. I realized that through these small conflicts, the kids were learning to compromise, stay calm, and consider each other's feelings essential skills for becoming a functional family. I also noticed my relationship with my fiancé growing stronger. No more tension over money or rights. Now we watched the kids together, laughed together, and made small family decisions together. Trust was being built through collaboration, empathy, and patience. One weekend morning, we went to the park. All four of us played ball, ran around, and laughed loudly. My son voluntarily introduced his favorite game to his new stepbrother, and both boys laughed together without competing or being jealous. He looked at me, holding my hand. Seeing them like this, I feel more confident about our family's future. I smiled, filled with hope. Exactly. The small steps we take today will create bigger memories tomorrow, in the following weeks. Our little family rituals began to take hold, making pizza on Saturday nights, reading together before bed, sharing weekly meals. The three kids developed habits of connection while respecting each other's personal boundaries. A memorable moment came when my son voluntarily helped his new stepbrother with a difficult math problem. I watched silently, heart warmed. This wasn't just cooperation, it was a sign of genuine emotional bonding. My fiancé also changed how he expressed affection toward the kids. Instead of controlling or imposing, he learned to observe, listen, and engage respectfully. My son, while still protecting his boundaries, also learned to open up, share, and accept another person in his personal space. One evening, while playing a board game, I felt an unusual sense of peace. No tension, no competition, just laughter, cooperation, and a feeling of belonging. I thought to myself, family isn't perfect. We will still face challenges. But if everyone continues to be patient, learn, and respect one another, this will become a real family. These first steps, though small, were proof of the power of connection, patience, and unconditional love. We realized that building a blended family isn't a straight path, it's a winding journey full of challenges, but also filled with priceless moments. The path to a blended family isn't smooth or predictable. It's messy, it's challenging, and it's sometimes painful. But in the laughter shared, the boundaries respected, and the bonds formed, it becomes something real, resilient, and worth every effort. And this week, we took another step forward. Sometimes, the strongest families are forged in the fire of conflict. One Friday afternoon, the atmosphere at home suddenly became unusually tense. My son had just come home from school, tired and irritable, and my fiancé's 12-year-old son was also in a bad mood after a stressful week at school. Small signs, sullen looks, frowns, and silence quickly escalated into a major conflict no one wanted. It started over the bathroom. My son wanted to shower first, but the 12-year-old also needed to get ready. A small comment from my son unexpectedly sparked frustration. "I need to shower first. Don't get in my way," he yelled. The 12-year-old fired back, his voice louder than usual. "Why is it always you? It's the same every time." I stepped in, but I immediately realized this wasn't just about the bathroom. This was a build-up of emotions, feelings of being overlooked, anxiety and insecurity all coming to the surface. My fiancé appeared, trying to intervene, but even his tone carried tension. "Enough. Stop arguing right now." The atmosphere felt like it was about to explode. My son was crying, the 12-year-old was yelling, and all three of us, my fiancé, the kids, and I felt helpless and exhausted. I took a deep breath and tried to calm things down. "Everyone, pause for a moment. We need to sit and talk." We all gathered in the living room. I began, "Let's speak calmly about our feelings. There's no right or wrong, just honest emotions." My son spoke first, voice trembling. "I feel overlooked. Every time he's here, I feel like I lose control. My own space." The 12-year-old looked at the floor, voice softer. "I just want to be heard. I don't want to bother anyone or make them angry." My fiancé looked at both of them, voice gentle. "Kids, I know this is hard, but we have to learn to share and respect each other. We're a family, but no one loses their value." I added, "Everyone's feelings matter. None of us are being ignored. But we need a way to resolve conflicts without hurting each other." The conversation lasted nearly half an hour. For the first time, the kids fully expressed their emotions, without holding back or bottling them up. My son cried, but this time it was tears of relief and being understood, not frustration. The 12-year-old opened up about school pressures, stress, and loneliness. My fiancé took my hand and sighed. I never realized that something as small as sharing a bathroom could trigger such an explosion. I nodded, looking at the kids. This is the first lesson. In a blended family, conflicts are inevitable. What matters is how we face them. We set a few new rules. When conflict arises, pause and calmly express feelings. No yelling or insults. Everyone has the right to personal space and to be heard. After that evening, the atmosphere slowly eased. My son hugged me and said, "I feel better now that I got to say everything." The 12-year-old smiled. "I feel less scared." My fiancé looked at me, eyes full of emotion. I realized building a blended family isn't just about fun and peaceful moments. It's also about learning to navigate conflict, understand each other, and grow together. I smiled warmly. This was the first time we truly experienced the power of listening and empathy in a blended family in the days that followed. Things weren't perfect, but the difference was clear. The family had learned to express emotions before they escalated into a storm. My son began showing more patience, the 12-year-old learned self-control, and my fiancé learned to observe and guide without imposing. I, as the mediator, learned patience and the art of listening to all voices. One evening, while all four of us played a board game, I watched them laugh together and saw signs of genuine emotional bonding. No tension, no overbearing worry. Just joy, cooperation, and a sense of belonging. Strong families aren't defined by the absence of conflict, but by how they navigate it. They're built on listening, understanding, and growing together. And tonight, we learned what it truly means to be a family. Equals happiness in a blended family isn't always grand, it's often found in the quiet, shared moments that make you feel truly connected. After the big conflict, things started to shift in a positive direction. There were no more explosive arguments or underlying tension. The kids slowly realized they weren't rivals, they were part of the same team. And every shared moment became precious. One Sunday afternoon, we decided to make homemade pizza. My son liked picking his own toppings, while the 12-year-old wanted to get creative with his choices. At first, there was a little hesitation and light disagreement, but eventually they figured out a solution. Half of each person's topping on the pizza. He looked at me, a proud smile on his face. Seeing them cooperate like this, I'm honestly proud. I nodded, filled with hope. Exactly. These small moments, seemingly simple, are how emotional bonds are built. In the following days, our little family rituals grew stronger. Every evening, we shared dinner and talked about our day. My son began sharing about school without fear of being interrupted, while the 12-year-old also expressed his worries and joys. One evening, as we played board games while the rain poured outside, my son voluntarily gave up his turn just to see his stepbrother enjoy the game. Watching him, I saw a new light. He was learning empathy and selflessness. My fiancée Sue was learning. Instead of imposing rules, he started creating space for the kids to make choices, guiding gently and respecting their decisions. My son, while still protecting his personal rights, learned to share, empathize, and open his heart to another person. One morning, we went to the park. All four of us ran, played ball, and laughed together. My son actively showed his stepbrother his favorite game, and the 12-year-old shared one of his own. The boys laughed together, no competition, no jealousy. He took my hand, eyes full of emotion. Seeing them happy like this, I feel hopeful about our family's future. I smiled. Exactly. Happiness isn't about grand gestures. It's the small, everyday moments that matter. In the following weeks, the family learned the power of patience and unconditional love. When one child felt disappointed or sad, we comforted each other, listened, and helped solve problems together. When joyful moments occurred, we celebrated as a family, remembering that each moment is an opportunity to connect. One evening, while we played a board game, I realized something important. Growth doesn't just come from teaching, it comes from experiencing together, overcoming challenges together, and enjoying life together. My son was learning patience. The 12-year-old was learning understanding. My fiancé was learning how to support without imposing, and I was learning how to balance everything calmly. He looked at me silently. I never imagined becoming a blended family could be this beautiful. I smiled, warmth spreading through me. Exactly. Not perfect, but we're learning to love and understand one another. And that's what matters most. In moments like these, I realized that building a blended family is a long journey, where everyone learns to grow, respect, and love. It isn't always easy, but every small step is worth it. Happiness doesn't always come in grand gestures. Sometimes it's found in the laughter shared over a board game, in the compromises made over pizza toppings, and in the quiet moments where everyone feels seen, heard, and loved. And slowly, we are becoming that family. This was the first clear sign that our family was moving forward. Past difficulties, conflicts, and challenges were no longer barriers. They had become lessons and solid foundations for the future. And for the first time, as all four of us laughed, played, and shared together, I knew that our family had found its own rhythm. A rhythm built on love, patience, and understanding. In the end, family isn't about perfection. It's about love, patience, and the courage to grow together. A year had passed since we first embarked on the challenge of becoming a blended family. Looking back, I realized that every conflict, every difficulty, and every tense moment had been the stepping stones for the connection we have today. On a Sunday morning, soft sunlight streamed through the windows as the whole family gathered in the living room. We enjoyed breakfast together, talked, laughed, no tension, no lingering worries or hesitation. Everything felt completely peaceful. My son looked at me, eyes shining with happiness. "Mum, I feel like we're really a family now." "I mean, really?" The 12-year-old nodded with a smile. "Yeah. It's different now. I feel safe here, like I belong." My fiancé held my hand, voice warm and steady. This is what I was hoping for. Seeing all of you happy like this, it makes everything worth it." We started the day by playing ball outside. All four of us ran, laughed, and played together. These moments weren't just fun, they were proof that our family had found its rhythm and real connection. During a break, I noticed my son voluntarily sharing toys without worrying about being overlooked. The 12-year-old was learning to be patient, and they began talking about common interests. Laughing together without rivalry, he looked at me, eyes full of joy. I never thought blending families could feel this natural, this peaceful. I smiled warmly. It's not magic. It's patience, understanding, and love. Every single day that evening, we prepared a special family dinner, each person making a part. My son prepared a salad, the 12-year-old cooked the main dish, and my fiancé and I took care of dessert. While cooking, they laughed, helped each other, and shared responsibilities, natural cooperation I had never seen before. Dinner was warm and lively. We ate together, told jokes, and even shared quiet moments of connection, realizing that being a family isn't about ownership, it's about creating meaningful moments together. After dinner, we talked about past struggles and the lessons we had learned. My son said, "I've learned to be more patient and to listen, and it feels good." The 12-year-old added, "I've learned that I can trust people, even when things feel strange at first." My fiancé smiled, and I've learned that being a dad, a partner, and a guide is about patience, observation, and love, not control. I felt my heart warm. We've all grown together. This is what family truly is. Not perfect, but real. Later, as we sat on the sofa, hand in hand, watching the kids laugh and play, I knew all our efforts and challenges had built a strong foundation for this family. Family isn't about avoiding problems or living perfectly. It's about facing challenges together, learning from mistakes, and celebrating the small victories. It's about laughter, empathy, patience, and love. And in this house, we've found that, step by step, moment by moment, we've become a family. As night fell, we shared stories, laughter, and dreams. I realized that happiness in a blended family doesn't come from perfection, it comes from true connection, patience, and unconditional love. This was the ending of one chapter, but also a new beginning, a family that isn't perfect, yet strong, full of love, and ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead together.